Hello and welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. And for this episode, I'm going to talk about Asteroid City. Asteroid City is a 2023 American comedy drama film that is written, directed, and produced by none other than Wes Anderson, from a story he wrote with Roman Coppola. It features an ensemble cast that includes Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liv Schreiber, among many others as well. Now, with this film, Asteroid City is Wes Anderson's latest movie since 2021's The French Dispatch. Now with this movie Asteroid City, I thought I'd talk about it because Asteroid City is an interesting film because and with me talking about it, I thought this would be a good film to talk about because it has that little bit of a Wes Anderson. It has that Wes Anderson feel to it, just like his other films that he has directed before. Now, now I haven't watched a lot. I haven't watched any of the other Wes Anderson movies besides Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs. Those were his two films that I've seen. I know he has done other films, which includes Steve Zissou, the Grand Budapest Hotel, Moonrise Kingdom, The French Dispatch, among many others as well. Although in terms of like his films, like I believe my favorite Wes Anderson movie is basically Fantastic Mr. Fox in my personal opinion. I mean, in fact, I did an episode talking about Fantastic Mr. Fox a while back on the WEIU website. So I did an episode of Fantastic Mr. Fox. So that was like my first Wes Anderson film that I talked about. Now, Asteroid City will be my second Wes Anderson film that I'm going to talk about. So, just to give a brief background of like Wes Anderson's style is like Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson, as I mentioned, he is a filmmaker, a pretty good filmmaker as well. Although he's mostly described as a modern day example of an auteur. An auteur is basically an artist with a distinct approach, usually a film director whose filmmaking control is so unbounded and personal that the director is likened to be the author of the film, thus manifesting the director's unique style or thematic focus. So Wes Anderson, he's basically an auteur, so which is basically he's got that unique style. He has a unique meaning, like he's basically like the author of his own film, which probably explains why he wrote, direct, and produced his own films. Well, I mean, of course, he also brought others on board as well, and his style for his film, he goes for very eccentric, unique visual and narrative styles, which was basically used, including his frequent use of ensemble casts, and of course, the themes that he puts into this film is basically the themes of grief, loss of innocence, and dysfunctional families. So there's some, so there's basically your themes of this film that there. So these are the themes that Wes Anderson goes for in his films, and he has done this before. And Asteroid City is another example right there. In fact, going into the going into the film, going into the film, just to give down the plot of the film is basically a meta-textual plot simultaneously depicts the events of a junior stargazer convention in a retro-futuristic version of 1955, staged as a play and the creation of the play. So technically, it's a meta film. So it's basically a play within a film, or it's basically a play within a film. It's basically a play within a film type of movie that is set in the 1950s. You know, in the 1950s, during the time where extraterrestrials and UFOs were basically were basically popular at the time, being witnessed in the southwestern desert in close proximity to atomic test sites during the post-war period of the American 20th century. So basically, during a time where extraterrestrials and UFOs were starting to get noticed at the time. Asteroid City, as I mentioned, takes place in the southwestern desert in close proximity. So, so basically, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, anyway, I mentioned a few cast members too. I mean, Wes Anderson. He's got a huge lineup of cast members, very noticeable cast members, and Jason Schwartzman is one of them, and he plays the lead role. He plays the lead role of Augie Steenbeck, who's a war photoist. He is a war photojournalist and father to Woodrow, and of course he also plays the actor. He also plays the actor in this film, also known as Jones Hall, the actor playing Steenbeck, because it's basically staged as a play and the creation of a play within a film. So basically, yeah. So anyway, the film was in development since 2021. The production of this film started back sometime in the 2020s, although it was first mentioned in September of 2020, where Wes Anderson would write and direct a romance film that he would produce with Jeremy Dawson. Of course, Michael Cera and Jeff Goldblum entered negotiations to star, although Jeff Goldblum would actually end up in the film more likely as a cameo of some sorts in this film. Although of course, during the 2020s, where the pandemic was a thing, the production of the film didn't start until 2021, sometime in 2021. So obviously, safety precautions were in place. So there's something right there. So safety precautions were put in place during the production of Asteroid City. On top of that, Bill Murray, who was going to be in Asteroid City, it was revealed that he wasn't going to be in the film because Bill Murray was actually in Ireland at the time the film was in production, and he was tested positive for COVID-19, and as a result of that, he wasn't able to shoot his scenes, so he wasn't in the film. And I'll get to a little bit more about Bill Murray as I break down the film. Once the film was done, and the first teaser trailer was released on March 28th, 2023, and it featured a rendition of Johnny Duncan's 1957 song "Last Train to San Fernando," which is also the opening song to this film, by the way. And and in that trailer, you get to see basically the southwestern, which is basically a southwestern town called Asteroid City, and it does have that bit of a western feel, of course, a 1950s feel as well, which actually looks like which actually looks like a play. When you see that trailer, when you watch the trailer, you'll definitely come to realize that it looks like you're watching an actual play within the film because of the sets. It's not even green screen. It's not green screen. That's the actual set. You are watching actual sets of Asteroid City as if it was actually built. And and of course, and of course, Jazz Monroe of Pitchfork called the trailer extremely Andersonian. And I'm going to be honest with you, that is the best description, not only for Asteroid City, but all of his other films as a whole, in my personal opinion. Because when you watch some of the past Wes Anderson films, like you kind of like want to realize, like, what type of style? What is it? I know Wes Anderson's got this style, but if you really come to think of it, it feels Andersonian. Like you know what you're getting into. It's because that means you know what you're getting into. You know what his style is all about. And and for Asteroid City, Jazz Monroe called the trailer extremely Andersonian. That is the best description for not only Asteroid City, but for all of his other films as a whole. It's got that Andersonian tone to it because you know of what his style is going to be, whatever Wes Anderson is going to direct a movie, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to break down the film. Now, actually, before I break down the film, you're all probably wondering what did I think about this film. I thought the film was okay. I mean, I didn't think it was fantastic or anything. I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, some of his earlier films are pretty good too, but even some of his films do have their fair share of flaws. Uh, Asteroid City, it got good reviews. I mean, got a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, so that's still pretty good. I mean, the website for Rotten Tomatoes described the film as Asteroid City is unlikely to win Wes Anderson many new coverts, but those who respond to his signature style will find this a return to immaculately arranged form. So yeah, so it's still a good film, even though it's got its flaws. It probably won't win any new fans, but that being said, still a pretty decent film. It is a Wes Anderson movie, so you kind of know what you're expecting. So anyway, I'm gonna break down the film. So spoiler alert. So the film opens up in a retro futuristic version of the 1950s. A TV host introduced a televised production of the in-universe fictional Asteroid City, a play by famed playwright Conrad Earp. In the play, a youth astronomy convention is held in the fictional desert town of Asteroid City. The play's events are depicted in widescreen and stylized color, while the television special is seen in black and white Academy ratio. So anyway, the opening is basically telling the audience of like what you are about to see. It's basically hello there. What you're about to see is this. Basically, describe to the audience like what you're about to see is basically a televised production within this film. Of course, this is kind of what you're expecting. This is like what you're trying to see in a Wes Anderson movie. So the host is being played by Bryan Cranston, who appeared in Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, voiced one of the lead dogs. And of course, Bryan Cranston as a TV host, he basically opens the film up by introducing the audience. Well, not only the audience watching the production, but also the film as a whole. So basically, he's basically like the narrator of this movie, telling everybody like what you're about to see. When I saw this movie, Bryan Cranston's character as the TV host, he looks like Walt Disney a little bit. He's got that look right there. If you've seen Asteroid City, he looks like Walt Disney a little bit, just a little bit. And of course, Conrad Earp is being played by Edward Norton, who is another Wes Anderson collaborator for many Wes Anderson movies as well. So Conrad Earp is basically the famous playwright who wrote this play which is basically Asteroid City, by the way. So anyway, we cut to later on to the opening credits, which is basically Last Train to San Fernando, and of course the opening credits they go by quick, and this is like another Wes Anderson trope. Some of his movies they have a very fast opening credits, and the text is very very small, so you can't really tell like who's who. Like oh, actually you actually won't. It's not small, but it's like the font size is like the font size is basically at the top is basically showing like you're seeing like who they are, but it goes by very quick. It goes by very quick, and that's a little nitpick that I have with this film. Like I don't really see like the credits are going by very fast. Like I mean I seen the names of the actors, but the way how it goes by so fast. I couldn't even tell like who's who in this movie. Like who's who in this movie. Like who's doing the music, who's doing like the set designs, the makeup, the and everything else. Although of course I do see Wes Anderson's name as the writer, director, and producer, including Roman Coppola as well. So I see that, but what about the rest? That's just a little nitpick. Like the credits go by they go by quick. Like you can't even tell what like who is who. I think that's like a style that Wes Anderson used. He opens the film with the opening credits, but they go by very quick, just so just so it could get the plot moving. Because Wes Anderson's got that I believe Wes Anderson has that fast paced style, so he's going very quick. He's going very quick with the opening credits, and then and of course the rest of the film is pretty paced too. Like the rest of the film is pretty paced with what he's got. So anyway, we get to see the town of Asteroid City, and for what you expect, it basically looks like an actual set. It actually looks like an actual set, which, in my opinion, it actually looks pretty good. It actually looks pretty good and very Andersonian. Actually, one of my favorite moments of the town. Like we only get to see we get to see the entire town. Like he uses his own camera styles as is very symmetrical. Like he has the town in he has the entire town he has the entire town in frame, showing different parts of the town, like as the camera is panning back and forth to different areas of the town. And one of my favorite moments of the town is where the camera pans over to the bridge, and then the bridge there's a sign that says the bridge is out indefinitely, and that actually got me to chuckle a little bit because the bridge is incomplete. Like it's incomplete, but it's out indefinitely, and that got me to chuckle a little bit. It's just so funny knowing the fact hey, there's a bridge, but it's out indefinitely. Okay, that was one of those moments. That was one of the few moments in this film where it got me to chuckle a little bit. So moving forward, so basically, in Asteroid City, which is basically the play that we see right now, we see war photojournalist Augie Steenbeck, who, as I mentioned, is being played by Jason Schwartzman. He arrives early to the Junior Stargazer convention with Woodrow, his intellectual teenage son, and his three young daughters. So basically they're off to a Stargazer convention, and Woodrow's being played by Jake Ryan in this movie. So they're in town, and Augie's car broke down. So he phones his father-in-law Stanley, who asking for his help. And Stanley is being played by Tom Hanks this time around. And one of my another moment that I actually like in this scene where Augie and Stanley, they're basically talking to each other on the phone, but there's a moment where the camera, where the shots of their phone conversations were not only split, but where there was a moment where it's literally pan edited as if they were facing each other, knowing that they were there. If you know what I'm talking about, if you look up the phone conversation scene between Jason Schwartzman's character and Tom Hanks's character, the phone conversation between the two characters, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. There is this one moment where the shots where there you have where the shot is edited in a panel edit style, and and you see that they're facing, and it's the moment where it's where the shots are facing each other as if both characters are there. That's a moment that I really like, and it's very clever too. That's actually clever editing to whoever edited this movie. That was pretty good editing style right there, between the phone conversation of Tom Hanks and Jason Schwartzman. So Stanley dislikes his son-in-law and persuades him to tell the children about their mother's recent death, which Augie had concealed. Augie and of course, knowing the fact that Stanley comes in later on to talk about a little bit more about the death of the mom. So, anyway, later on, Augie's car wasn't able to start because the mechanic wasn't able to get it fixed. The mechanic in this movie, he's being played but the mechanic in this movie, he's being played by Matt Dillon. Technically, he did not fix the car right. So then Augie and his kids, they decided to stay in Asteroid City for a little while. Well, basically for the convention, basically for the convention, but until the car is fixed. And then of course we get other people coming into Asteroid City. One of them being Midge Campbell, who's a one of them being Midge Campbell, who is a famous but world-weary actress who is being played by Scarlett Johansson. And then of course, Midge also has a daughter named Dina, who like Woodrow will be honored at the convention. Other people started to come in, like we get a Western band coming into town, and of course we also get Liv Schreiber. We also get J.J. Kellogg, who is being played by Liv Schreiber, who's the father of Clifford, a junior Stargazer awardee. So basically, you got other people going to this Stargazer convention, which J.J. Kellogg, that Liv Schreiber's character is coming into. We also have General Gibson, being played by Jeffrey Wright, who's the host of the Junior Stargazer convention. We also got a scientist named Doctor Hickenlooper, being played by Tilda Swinton. Of course, as I mentioned, we also got a Western band, and one of the leads is named Montana, who's a singing cowboy interested in June, and Montana is being played by Rupert Friend. For those of you who don't know who Rupert Friend played the Grand Inquisitor in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series that came out in 2022. And of course, June is basically a teacher who is interested in Montana, and her last name is Douglas. Is being played by Maya Hawke, who has appeared in Stranger Things season 3 and 4, who's also the daughter to Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. For those of you who don't know who Maya Hawke is, and then of course we also got a motel manager who's being played by Steve Carell. Okay, so just to go off topic for a sec. Now, just to go off topic a little more, um, Steve Carell was not the first choice to play the motel manager. It was actually Bill Murray. Bill Murray was supposed to play the hotel manager. Although I thought Bill Murray was going to play. I thought Bill Murray was going to play Stanley, Augie's father-in-law, because when I saw the trailer for the first time for Asteroid City, uh, of where Augie was talking to his father-in-law. His father-in-law looks a. I thought Tom Hanks' character was going to be Bill Murray's character. I thought Bill Murray was going to play the father-in-law. That was my first instinct because he looked because if you watch the scene of Stanley and Augie, you can definitely see a little bit of that Bill Murray look-alike for Stanley, to which Tom Hanks is playing. But of course, it turns out that Bill Murray was supposed to play the motel manager. That was supposed to be his character. But as I mentioned, Bill Murray was tested positive for COVID-19 before he can even shoot his scenes. So Wes Anderson had to put in he had to find a replacement. So he got Steve Carell to play the motel manager, and I thought Steve Carell did a pretty good job playing the character. So anyway, and of course, speaking of Bill Murray, Bill Murray, he did make an appearance in a short film that is related to Asteroid City, and of course, it was a in joke. Of course, it was. I guess you could say it was more of an in joke, but at the same time, Wes Anderson made that short film just so he can have Bill Murray in this project because, as I mentioned, Bill Murray was tested positive for COVID-19. So basically, Wes Anderson, according to an article from the New Yorker by Michael Schulman. First of all, big shout out to Michael Schulman for writing this article. He mentioned that he mentioned that the movie was, and I quote, he mentioned, and I quote, the movie was a jigsaw puzzle of actors, schedules, so we couldn't wait. And of course, and I quote, we were extremely lucky that we were extremely lucky that Steve Carell said yes and was perfect in the part. And like I said, I thought Steve Carell did a pretty good job playing the motel manager. And then so to go to Bill Murray's part, and I quote from the article: once Murray recovered, he went to Spain anyway. Spain, and of course Spain was the filming location for Asteroid City. Um, the problem was that he had no part to play. I kept trying to think of something for him, but you can't really just add a new character into the movie. So basically what also went down is Bill Murray hung around was able to hang around for a while. So he hung out on location, giving pep talks, and of course, the Wes Anderson noted that he was good for moral. Anderson eventually devised a character. He actually devised a character named Jock Larkins, who is basically the head of the Larkins Corporation, a fictitious armaments and aeronautics company in the film. Now, because Asteroid City has a framing device in which a trope of actors is performing a play that is inexplicably become in which is performing a play that inexplicably becomes the movie we're watching, Murray actually had two characters. He was also Tab Whitney, the mid-century actor playing Larkins. And Anderson even had a Western style costume made for him, but he never got a chance to put Larkins in the scene. Of course, this also puts in the fact that Bill Murray would play a character who was cut from the film. So that basically references Bill Murray, who did not appear within the movie, who did not appear in this movie. But I really like how Wes Anderson made this short film just so he can have Bill Murray in the film, just so he can have Bill Murray in it, and have it connect to Asteroid City. So that was very nice of Wes Anderson. That was nice of Wes Anderson with what he was able to do for Bill Murray. By the way, this would have been Bill Murray's 10th collaboration with Wes Anderson because he collaborated in nine films. He was in he was in like almost every Wes Anderson movie. 9 films to just to say. Like what Asteroid City would have been Bill Murray's 10th collaboration with Wes Anderson, but of course, as I mentioned, since he wasn't able to be in the movie due to COVID, um, Wes Anderson was very fortunate enough to have Bill Murray be in a short film that connects to Asteroid City. So that was very nice of Wes Anderson to have Bill Murray in this short film to connect to the actual movie. So that was very nice of him. Shout out to Michael Schulman from the New Yorker for writing the story. So that was that was very good of Bill. That was very good of Wes Anderson. Very good. That was a very good move for Wes Anderson. So very good. So well done, Wes Anderson. Well done. So anyway, going back to the movie, as you could probably mention, as you may already realize, that all the characters you get like different scenes of the characters talking to each other, including the main leads that Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson are doing as well. So basically, everybody's in town just for the convention. I mean, of course, everybody's coming from different places. As I mentioned, you got June Douglas, a young teacher who is basically, I'm pretty sure she's a sister to, I think, for what appears to be a Catholic church, maybe, or a Christianity church school of some sort. I don't really know to be exact because June Douglas stepped off the bus with her students. They were all saying a prayer, like, "Hey, it's lunchtime. Sit, let us pray, folks." They were praying, and of course, as I mentioned, we get the Western band, which is basically a cowboy band that Montana leads, and then of course we got Liv Schreiber's character, among many other characters coming in as well. And of course, the motel. To which, of course, the motel manager that Steve Carell plays provides everyone accommodations. So anyway, Gibson is being played by Jeffrey Wright. He welcomes everybody into the town of Asteroid City, and this basically takes place inside a crater. But so everybody comes together in this crater where the teenagers are basically receiving their awards for various inventions. When suddenly a UFO appears above the crater, an alien emerges and steals a fragment of the meteorite that created the crater. And of course, the alien, you'll find out that the alien is being played by Jeff Goldblum, and you only see Jeff Goldblum in one scene. You see the alien at least a couple of times, but the alien doesn't really talk in the scene. Like the alien comes down from his UFO, which is basically stop motion animation, by the way, and which is actually pretty cool. Which is actually pretty nice of Wes Anderson to do, because Wes Anderson has done stop motion animation for Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox. So the alien, he's just basically he comes down and just like he comes down, sees everybody, is like I can imagine I could just imagine the inner monologue from Jeff Goldblum. Like, oh, hi everybody. Wow. I know it might be a little scary, but hey, I just come in peace, just checking out the area. I'm noticing like a stargazer convention of some sort. Yeah, I mean, congratulations. Hey, oh, that's a pretty nice meteorite. I mean, I hope you won't mind. I take this. Thank you. Bye. I mean, I could just imagine the inner monologue from that alien, if you know what I'm saying. It's just like there's no dialogue. All you hear is the music from Alexander Desplat, and the music that is being played. You hear a piano, a metal xylophone, and then of course the strings playing a very high octave E flat. Like it's basically that's what you're listening to. Like you're listening to the music is telling the story in this very scene. Like when the alien comes down, takes the meteorite and goes back up, goes back up and leaves. I was like, here, I'm gonna take this right now. Bye bye. So yeah, that's basically the scene, and everybody is like, what just happened? Like, what just happened? I can imagine the hostess saying, well, that was something. Of course, before the alien leaves, Augie photographs the alien. The president and General Gibson ordered the town placed under military quarantine. So, yeah, I guess you could say that I guess you could say the pandemic brought some inspiration for this film, because obviously back in 2020 there was lockdown and quarantine. So basically, there's some inspiration for this film. There's some inspiration for that time period being put into this movie, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, during the whole quarantine situation, a romance blossoms between Montana and June, because hey, that's basically what's happening in the film. Who assure that the students that the alien is likely peaceful. Meanwhile, the Stargazer honorees use Dr. Hickenlooper's equipment, Dr. Hickenlooper being played by Tilda Swinton, and the equipment is basically being used to attempt to contact the alien. Hey, that's like contacting ET. So, using a guarded payphone, Ricky calls his school newspaper to relay the quarantine details and cover up to the outside world. So of course, the Asteroid City events become national news. A furious General Gibson is about to end the quarantine when the UFO reappears. When the UFO reappears, and of course, during that scene, what looks to be a town fair. It looks like they put that at the city of Asteroid. It looks like the city of Asteroid City, is basically creating a town fair, basically to celebrate the end of quarantine, and then of course, and trying to bring the alien back just so they could get that meteorite. And then on top of that, like it's basically kind of crazy too, because knowing the fact that this is a Wes Anderson movie, so you get some Wes Anderson moments like where our two lead actors, Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, are basically in two different, what looks to be two different apartments, two different apartment rooms. They're basically facing each other, talking about their life, and basically they're basically acting in deadpan humor and deadpan tone, because in many Wes Anderson movies, a lot of the actors will do like this in deadpan dialogue. If you know what I'm saying. So basically basically you got like deadpan acting from both of our leads. Of course, some of the other actors as well. And that's another style that Wes Anderson uses in a lot of his films as well, like his style of deadpan dialogue. I mean, which is not all bad, but you could definitely get some of that humor out of it too. I like how both of the actors, Scarlett Johansson and Jason Schwartzman, they basically talk about their life as a photojournalist and of course an actress as well. They basically talk about each other a lot. Which is something I really enjoyed, which is something that I actually liked in this film. So that's still pretty good. So later on, going back to the alien for the end of quarantine, the UFO appear the UFO comes back, reappears, and the alien returns the meteorite fragment. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure another inner. I'm pretty sure, can't imagine the inner monologue for when the alien returns the meteorite in like Jeff Goldblum fashion. Oh, hi guys. Here's a meteorite that I took. I mean, I was studying over it, but here you go. Just want to give it back to you. Okay, bye bye. So then everybody freaks out after the alien comes back. It's just like it's just crazy. It's just crazy, man. Like it's just crazy because General Gibson reinstates the quarantine, and the children, all the children, everybody, were the children, the scientists, parents, everybody in that crater revolts. And they're using the honorees' inventions to overpower the military. And then, of course, we also get a moment where Augie and Dina started to like make out, because obviously there's a relationship between those two kids in this movie during this whole riot in the crater. So this is basically a crater riot in this moment right now. During that scene, after the alien comes back and General Gibson puts in another quarantine. Wow. And wow, and this is and that's basically it. That's basically it. And that's basically it. That's basically the Asteroid City portion. Now let's go into the play portion of it all. So the play's creation is basically it cuts between the play and of course the movie itself. Sometime after Conrad Earp started writing, he meets with actor Jones Hall, who performs an audition in Earp's home and is immediately cast. By the way, Conrad Earp is being played by Edward Norton in this movie. So during the same interaction, Earp and Hall kiss, establishing their relations as lovers. So I guess there is a huh. So I guess there is a love relationship between Earp and Hall. So Earp writes the play with help from a local acting school and recruits most of the cast members from it. Of course, this was also introduced in the opening of the film. So basically, there's your sense of foreshadowing to it. This also includes Mercedes Ford, a temperamental yet talented actress who plays Midge. Also to mention, even though Augie and Midge they basically started a relationship. There was another moment that was foreshadowed in the beginning of the movie where um Augie's where Augie's son pulls out a picture of Augie pulls out a picture of his mom that is being played by Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie plays Augie's wife Augie's wife. And we don't see Margot Robbie until the end of the movie. And we see that at the end. We see that at the end of the movie, and this is all black and white, by the way. During the behind the scenes moments where it's all black and white, event, while the actual event that was taking place was all in color. So this is basically black and white and in color. Basically the entire film of Asteroid City. So during the recorded performance of the play, Hall, who plays Augie, confronts the play's director, Schubert Green, and asks if he is doing him right. Green tells Hall to keep playing Augie the same way, despite being uncertain and that he is doing him right. After the interaction, while taking a smoke break on a balcony, Hall runs into the actress who was cast to play Augie's wife before her only scene was cut. And Augie's wife is Margot Robbie, and that's towards the end of the movie. And that's basically towards the end of the movie. And the conversation between the two leads, between the two actors, they did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job exchanging one another's conversations. So that was pretty good. So that was pretty good. So and then later on, and then later, of course, Augie's wife recites the deleted scenes text to him. So basically, Augie is hearing all the lines from. Augie is listening to all the lines that were not going to be in the film, that were going to be cut for the film. I mean, and of course the same with Augie's wife. Of course, same with Augie's wife as well. So he's listening to all of that, knowing the fact that this is not going to be in the film. So yeah. So then, 6 months into the play's run, Conrad Erb dies in an automobile accident. In the play's epilogue, Augie and his family are the last to leave Asteroid City after General Gibson lifts the quarantine. Augie's daughters bury their mother's ashes in the desert. Woodrow wins the fellowship funding, and Midge leaves Augie her mailing address. And then Augie and his family quietly drives away. And that's the end. And basically, that's the end of the movie from the Asteroid City portion. The end of the movie, we get this interesting quote. We get this interesting quote from not just from the host that Bryan Cranston plays, but also Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe as well. Willem Dafoe as Salzburg Keitel, who is a revered acting teacher, and so basically Salzburg Keitel basically was also basically being the acting teacher. He was able to help give the actor was able to help bring in actors and train the actors for this role, to which Willem Dafoe plays, which he did a pretty good job at. Willem Dafoe and Bryan Cranston, including everybody else in this scene, where they all come together for what appears to be a talk show. They all say this line: "You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep." That is the quote. That is the movie's quote. And there's so many layers to that quote. Like there's so many layers to that quote. And you're asking yourself, what does that mean? What does it mean? You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. Like that is a quote that you hear in the film's climax. And some people actually said that this quote really brought the themes of the film to a climax. It made you understand the meaning of why they were all stuck in the town. That could be also mean reference like why are you stuck in this town? Not just for the Stargazer convention. It could also mean for something else. It could also mean to care to get. It could also mean to it could also mean that everybody's coming face to face with their own feelings. I mean, you can't wake up, you don't fall asleep. Will probably mean, and it could mean that you can't find yourself unless you're stuck in a place where nothing in your life seems to be moving forward. So that could mean something. You can't wake up, you don't fall asleep. Could mean that you can't find yourself unless you're stuck in this place where nothing in your life seems to be moving forward. And I think that is a very good quote and a very good takeaway for this movie. I mean, the quote itself is played in a song that was written for the movie, and that was played at the end of the movie during the whole credits sequence. Like it's actually a very good song. I mean, it's literally literally a good song. It's literally a good song, and it's basically, oh man, how do I say this? Like the lyrics of this song, can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. I mean, it is. It sounds like a lullaby a little bit. Don't you really think it? Don't you think it sounds like a lullaby? The song "You Can't Wake Up If You Don't Fall Asleep" that is being sung in this movie. Doesn't that feel sound like a lullaby to you? It really does. It's not, and it's like it's sung very well, very deep as well. And the song "You Can't Wake Up If You Don't Fall Asleep" was sung by Jarvis Cocker, and he really delivered a very good song. He wrote like he really wrote the he really brought his he really brought something deep for this for this song. Can't wake up and don't fall asleep. Like that is really something. Like the lyrics, like the quote, and of course the lyrics. You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. Really meant something for this film. Like it really did. It really meant something. I think, and I believe that is a good takeaway for this film as well. Like once you've seen it, like if you've seen the film, you'll probably understand. So, and that's basically it. That is the film Asteroid City. And I will say this, I really enjoyed the film. I didn't think, I mean, it's not his best film, in my personal opinion. I mean, I think his best film, in terms of live action movies, in terms of live action movies, I believe his best film is The Grand Budapest Hotel. For animated movies, Fantastic Mr. Fox. But in my personal opinion, Fantastic Mr. Fox is my favorite Wes Anderson movie. But but it is good to talk about another Wes Anderson movie like Asteroid City. I thought the film was good as it is. I mean, it is a film. When you see a film like Asteroid City that is being directed by Wes Anderson, especially coming from his other films as well, you kind of know what you're expecting for this movie, like another typical Wes Anderson movie that is enjoyable, even though it may not be his best work. It is obviously an enjoyable film. It is something. It is a good film, and I really like the all the cast members in this film. Like they did a very good job. Basically, very meta too, where where you realize that, oh, it's an actual play within a play. It's actually a play within a film, or an actual play within a play. Like you're seeing actual play within a live broadcast within a broadcasting station. You're seeing an actual play live from your screen. Like it's very meta. It's very meta, and I appreciate what Wes Anderson did. I like the music. I like that little. I like that music. The new music that Alexandra Desplat did. Like the theme for this is basically the main theme for this. It's like it's got that good feeling too, and I like how it's very short, but I really liked what Alexander Desplat did. By the way, this is his sixth collaboration with Wes Anderson. By the way, just to let you all know. Of course, I mean the set designs are pretty cool too. I mean, obviously, I mean the film speaks for itself on the sets, and then of course, and then of course, I mean, obviously the plot. I guess you could say the plot may sound a little cliche, but that's just my personal opinion. But and then of course my little nitpick with the opening credits. But other than that, I mean, Asteroid City is a pretty good film. It's a solid film, a good film. Not Wes Anderson's best work, but good film to watch. It is a good film to watch. Not it is a good film to watch and to enjoy as well. So anyway, that's my take on Asteroid City. But what did you guys think of Asteroid City? Did you like this movie? Did you not like this movie? Did you think this film was better than any of his other films? I mean, I'd like to know your thoughts on Asteroid City. So anyway, that'll wrap for this episode. So thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. Remember to watch movies and stay positive.